In 2019, I jumped in my Jeep and I traveled to every single state in the USA. As I traveled around the country, I interviewed hundreds of people from all walks of life and all different personalities. And my intention with this journey, my intention with traveling and chatting with all these different types of people was to answer one very simple question. How do you ensure you live a happy and successful life? It's a big one. Does anyone want to know the answer? Yes, we got a few at least. Yes. Well, what I found is that as I interviewed all these different people, my focus was on the everyday person. People that had gone through, like everyone, challenging times, stressful times, things that didn't go according to plan. They weren't necessarily super rich or super famous or super fit or anything like that we often strive to be. Like Austin from Kentucky, who had his house blown away by a tornado and weighed 400 pounds. Or June from Tennessee, who had stage 3 cancer, had been in a coma, and as a result of that, was in hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. Or Dan from Wyoming, who was a divorced alcoholic with his life in shambles. How did these people go from these less than ideal circumstances and really create a happy and successful life from it? Well, what I found throughout the entire country was there was one theme that ran through all these different conversations and interviews that I had. And of course, this was said in different ways, through different stories and different words. But that one theme, the one thing that ran through the whole country was that what's happening around you, your external circumstances, what is or isn't happening, what is good or bad, doesn't matter nearly as much as how your mind is interpreting what's happening around you. Now, this is interesting because often our minds will go into a negative spiral, right? Who here has ever had something happen in your life, good or bad or somewhere in between, and your mind has a negative thought about it? You kind of go to the worst case scenario. You kind of go to thinking about, oh my gosh, this could be better. I wish this would have happened. All of those different things. And this is just a part of being a human being. It's called negativity bias. And it was embedded into us as human beings to really protect us and keep us safe in our primal times. So if you think about it, when we were first created as human beings, our top priorities were to keep ourselves safe. We had to be on alert for threats in our environment, like a bear about to attack us. And so your mind, it makes sense. It was embedded and wired to go to what's going wrong, right? What could go wrong? What could be better in our lives because we had to be on alert. And so it's extremely normal and common to feel that, and it actually should be expected that when something happens, your mind is going to go in that direction. That's your default setting as a human being. And what was interesting here is that often the external things that we're seeking in our life, whether it be more money or their relationship or the car or whatever it may be, it's a very fleeting moment in time that we're often depending on for our emotional state, our internal state, consistently. And what I mean by this is I'd love for everyone here to think about the last goal that you accomplished, or maybe achievement, or maybe it was the raise that you got at your job, or just stage in your life that you were working towards. And when you reach that achievement, when you reach that moment in time, how did you feel? Excited, satisfied, calm, happy, right? We have definitely that rush when we reach a goal or when we reach an accomplishment in our life. But now I want you to think about Thursday, 2 days ago. How are you feeling on Thursday? Did it have any correlation to that goal that you reached, to that achievement, to that accomplishment? Likely, no. And so what we're actually craving is not the external thing. It's not what is happening or what's not happening. It's the feeling we believe that event, that person, that thing is going to cultivate within us. And we actually have a lot more control over our emotional state than we're often taught growing up and really just going about our day-to-day lives. And so what I found was that these people that had transformed their life, they had taken these less than perfect situations, if not seemingly very bad situations, and they had trained their mind, they had rewired their mind to look for the opportunity in the situation, to look for, okay, this isn't great, but how can I make the most of it, right? They train their mind, and we all have the ability to do this thanks to something called neuroplasticity. So at a high level, what neuroplasticity is essentially your brain is always changing. It's always growing, it's always developing. And so no matter where you're at today, you can actually start to use this to your advantage to cultivate more of the emotions and more of the feelings that you actually want to be experiencing. And this is really, really powerful because a lot of life is outside of our control, right? We can't necessarily depend on or really rely on what is or isn't happening, right? It's outside of our control. What is or isn't happening, what's happening in the world, what's not happening, if this person says this, if they say that. But you always have control over your emotional state and the meaning that you're deriving from it. So, today I want to share a little bit on how to get started in this at a very high level. And this is what I found the people throughout the country had done in order to really cultivate more of the emotions they want to be experiencing day to day and cultivate the feelings that they think that external thing might bring in, and it will for a short amount of time, there's no doubt about that. But for a more consistent basis, they were able to train their minds to do this daily. So what I recommend, and I'm going to walk you through a short exercise here, we're going to get a little tactical, is to create your own words to live by list. Now what this is it's a series of, I have about 9 words here, I think. 9 words, could be 7 to 9 words, of the emotions and feelings that are important for you to be embodying throughout the course of your life. And let's do a little exercise here. So if you're comfortable, no one's looking at you, feel free to just close your eyes for a moment and just take a deep breath in and let it go. And I want you to picture your last day on earth. The good news is you got everything you wanted. It happened in unpredictable ways. It happened in ways that you could never fathom at this current moment, but you did get everything you wanted. And my question for you is, how did you get there? Were you stressed and worried and freaking out and nervous about losing everything? Pessimistic, fearful? Or did you trust? Did you experience joy in the small moments? Did you feel inner peace? Did you feel calm? And as your mind shifts into the positive emotions that you want to be experiencing, those are your words to live by. That is what's important to you, and that is the path to ensure that you live a happy life, that you live a successful life. Because when you're cultivating those emotions on your own, you don't have to depend on what's happening or not happening outside of you. And in a world where it seems like constantly everyone is telling us how we should be living, what we should be doing, what we should be being, right? What we should think, what we should not think, deciding how you get to feel, deciding how you want to live is truly a rebellious act. Here's to the rebels in all of us.